shared a lot of things in common, but me being spontaneous was never going to happen. So I have printed, typed notes. So for those of you who don't know me, a lot of people here. Wow, this is fantastic. I'm Kirk and Susan's baby sister, Amy, also known as Mom's favorite. Thanks so much to everyone for being here to celebrate Kirk's life with us today. Thanks to Robert and Peter and Steve and Blake, and of course Kristen for sharing fun stories and memories with all of us. You know, when Kristen asked me if I would close things out today, I was really kind of torn between trying to, go sort of more serious or more funny. So I'm going to try to bridge the gap and do both. I'll start with the serious side. So I was a baby when Kirk was injured. And so his early advocacy took place during a really formative time of my life. And I took notice. I followed Kirk's lead and got a degree in social work just like he did. I'm the director of advocacy for a pretty big nonprofit organization in Atlanta. His life's work is it informs everything that I do in my life's work. I was teaching for a number of years at a different school that's not represented here today by any of our colors or shirts. But I was teaching master's level social work classes, and I invited Kirk several times to come and be a guest speaker in my classes. And every single time he challenged my students, challenged them to look at things differently, challenged them to have a different perspective. And he was always doing that with me too. We had a lot of opportunities to talk at length about various social injustices. And the thing that I loved was that, Kirk didn't really let me off the hook. If I was forgetting to use people first language, or if I was being short-sighted on a topic, he would really talk to me about that, but he didn't call me out for being wrong. He simply called me in to consider a different point of view. Those conversations lasted until we were on the way to the airport the last time I saw Kirk alive, and we were, I'm like, Kirk, I got to get out of the van, like I got to catch a flight, and we were still like in a heated conversation about a particular social justice topic, and so I love that just carried throughout my entire life. His last request of me was to keep fighting the good fight, and I promised that I would. His guidance, his mentorship, his encouragement will always be at the heart of what I do as a social worker. The following words that I want to share are not mine. They are written by poet Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I just feel like they encompass the indelible mark that Kirk left on this earth. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty and find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived here. This is to have succeeded. But before we promote Kirk to sainthood, let me also mention that he was an obnoxious older brother. And one of the ways that he liked to sort of exert his older brother status when I was little was on Christmas morning. So our house at the time had bedrooms down at the end of the hall, and our living room is in the front of the house. And so to get to Santa and Christmas morning and stockings and presents, you had to go all the way down the very narrow hallway. Well, guess who got at the front and took his sweet time taking that chair as slowly as humanly possible, with me jumping up and down behind him. Let me go, was during a family cruise when Kirk told a particular joke that was maybe a little bit raunchy. I know it's shocking to all of you. But I mean, I'm not talking about like I laughed hard. I'm talking about like face turns red, tears are streaming down your face, you fall out of your chair, like you've got a stomach cramp, you know what I mean? Like it was that kind of laugh. And I would never try to repeat the joke, because my mom's sitting right here in front of me, and I can't be as funny as Robert, so, but the point is not the joke. The point is the joy that Kirk got from making people laugh that hard, right? He would find any time, any place, any person to be, jovial and funny, even at the hospice intake appointment with the hospice nurse. He's cracking jokes. And April and Eric and I were like, really? Like, is this the time? But of course it was the time. Like that, of course, it was absolutely perfect. His love of life didn't end with jokes or good stories. He also loved music in all forms. So I hope you were appreciating some of the playlists that we curated. We'll crank that up here again in just a minute. But Kirk loved attending live concerts, singing karaoke at the top of his lungs, dancing with Mom, listening to Kristen rehearse Chopin for umpteen hours, competing in 70s rock trivia competitions, all of it. So I thought it would really be fitting to just close out our program today by quoting a Jimmy Buffett lyric. So don't get too excited. It's a clean lyric. I mean, Kirk can take that up with me if he doesn't like it when we see each other again down the road. But Buffett explained once that the song titled "He Went to Paris" was inspired by the story of a Spanish Civil War veteran named Eddie Bukowski, whom Buffett had met at a club in Chicago. They were both musicians and kind of hit it off. Eddie had actually relearned how to play the piano after his hand was amputated due to an injury he sustained in the war. So Eddie, insert Kirk, lived life to the fullest. He was adventurous. He loved hard. He made mistakes. He experienced difficult and trying circumstances. He pursued his passions. He told engaging stories because he wanted to be sure that his life was never defined by one incident, but rather by the totality of life in all of its complicated beauty. And the way he summed it up, which made it into the song, was, some of it's magic, some of it's tragic, but I had a good life all the way.